Good evening. Welcome back to the second segment of the Glazov gang. Our gang members this evening are Sonja Schmidt, conservative political analyst, Evan Sayet, America's #1 conservative comedian, and Kevin Hand, president and CEO of Hand and Associates.
Yes.
An internationally recognized consulting company or firm.
I should say.
I'm very recognized. And you know, the nice thing about that is that I've been released from prison just 3 months, and I'm so proud of it.
Oh my gosh!
So,
And it's
okay,
hanging on the table.
I mean, if you want me to leave, I can. Glazov gang members, welcome back to the second segment.
Good to be back.
I'm
very
fire
happy
you because of Islamophobia.
And I'm really sorry that I had to wear the same clothes I wore for yesterday.
I know, me too. I just feel really bad.
This second segment is titled Fired for Islamophobia. Over at the Daily Kos, the blogger Eric Allen Bell wrote the truth about Islam. He has been fired from the Daily Kos. What does this say about what's happening not only at the Daily Kos, with a leftist organization, leftist website, but also in our society overall? It appears that the truth about Islam cannot be told anymore. And what I'm referring to, of course, is that there's a theology and there's in texts in a certain religion or political ideology that preach violence. And when somebody says that or points to it, they are called names and they're literally kicked out of an institution.
You know, first of all, the idea that it's a phobia. A phobia is an unwarranted fear. It's, you know, you got a fear of heights. You have a fear of spiders. But there's a reason to be concerned at the very least about... I didn't double-check these numbers. Somebody who I respect said that, so I trust that. There are 39 wars currently raging on the planet. 39 of them involve a Muslim combatant on one side. All right. At a certain point, when you look back at everything from the Munich Olympics to the Achille Lauro to the Iran taking the hostages to the Iran-Iraq war to the Arab-Israeli conflict, to every major news story / atrocity of our lifetime, with the rare exception of a lone loon here or there, has involved somebody preaching and living this ideology. You know, so when they argue back, well, does that mean every Muslim? You know what? Not every cigarette kills you, and not everybody who smokes cigarettes dies, but you still say cigarettes cause cancer.
But exactly, Evan, but this is what the left has done. They've turned this into that somehow the critics or the people that are trying to warn our society are trying to demonize a group of people. The reality is that we're trying to point to a certain ideology that preaches violence. It doesn't mean that every single member of that religion
right, and
follows
it's not a skin color which you can't help. That's what you're born with. It's not. It's a choice and a lifestyle, and it's something that you make a decision to be or not be. You know, it's bigotry when you say all Swedes are this, because you can't help being born in where you're born. All right, but it's not bigotry to say all Christians believe certain things. They do, or otherwise they wouldn't be Christians.
And the ones that don't believe it, it doesn't mean that that's not what the religion teaches. You see what I'm saying? A Christian could be... if a Christian goes and kills somebody, he's doing that in contrast. Here's
the key. And William Buckley... Oh, wait, well, you all genuflect. William Buckley wrote, From Liberalism, and he gave us a great way of knowing if an action is only ascribable to the individual or if it's actually part of the movement itself. And it's when somebody does something, what's the reaction of the rest of the group? When, I forget the gentleman's name, Roeder, I think it was, killed the abortionist, George Tiller, they tried to pin it on the Christian community. But the reaction of the Christian community was outrage and sadness, and they ostracized him and punished him.
Right.
Compare and contrast when they flew the airplanes into those buildings, there was dancing in the streets.
Right. And to add to that, there's nothing in Christian texts that sanction that, whereas in Islamic texts there is. Sonja?
Right, well, one thing that I think Evan is also talking about is political correctness. And I've often said political correctness will kill us all. There's something interesting to me.
You're not allowed to say that.
That's politically incorrect.
I think you should get off the show right now.
You're fired. You're fired.
You're fired.
I'm
I'm a correctness phobia.
But, yeah, I mean, You mentioned phobias. Well, you don't get fired from your job if you have a fear of heights or a fear, But all of a sudden, if you say something of anti or what they deem as anti-Islamic, we've seen what happened to Juan Williams at NPR. We see what happens to Eric Bell. My concern is why we can't speak the truth, even if he were incorrect. Why can't he? So is it that the media champions?
No, here's why. May I? And then I'll shut up the rest of the show.
But it's Kevin's turn.
But I know the answer.
Well, I wasn't asking you. I was asking Kevin.
Then you at home will never know the answer. You at home.
It's his show.
Okay, wait a minute. We'll go in a circle.
But is this like political correctness run amok? Is it?
But what's the purpose of political correctness? And who makes the rules of political correctness? Kevin.
Okay, Kevin. Why in our society now, because of the way that the left controls the culture, we cannot even verbalize or even name who our enemy is?
I think it's pretty obvious. Number one, there is a organized plan, and they are completely organized. They have complete control of the media. They have complete control of Europe. Europe is scared to death to say anything about Islam. My aunt is from France. She says they have complete control of France. She says we're afraid to say anything. And the thing is, this is what the United States is going to turn into, because this little minority of people that are here in this country that are extreme Muslims are going to go after and control everything. And they're using all the old communist techniques. They learned a lot from communism. They know how to organize, they know how to control the media, and they go after the mainline religions, Judaism, Christianity, because they're the only two religions that will actually fight them. If you're an agnostic and you have nothing...
Well, if you've got nothing to believe in, you've got nothing to fight for.
That's where the left is. You're going to go with them because you figure you've got...
The fear is that if the truth is spoken about Islam, then the Christians will rise up and there'll be a war. And we don't want a war because war is not the answer. War is hell. War isn't pretty. War kind of sucks. It gets in the way of smoking dope and having fun. Yeah.
But it also there's a huge danger to the left, because the left's sacred cow is that all cultures are equal. All religions are equal. Everyone is equal.
Well, Islam will use the left.
And they're using the left. And so a leftist will lose his identity and the foundation of his beliefs.
The first people that
they also hate Christianity. So any group
they hate everything about liberals.
No, they hate Jews. They hate Christianity. They hate everybody.
We can get taken over by Sharia law because I don't look good with my head chopped off. It's just.
But black is thinning.
Listen, as Kevin said earlier, what happened? I think. Do we agree? I think that
doesn't anybody study history?
I think that Europe is.
No, actually.
Ladies and gentlemen, Glazov gang members. In Europe, certain suburbs of Paris now, non-Muslim women are veiling themselves because they will be gang raped if they do not veil. This is what's happening in Europe. We have literally lost Europe. So my question to you is, as we near the end of this segment, with our hands now being tied behind our back by political correctness, we're not allowed to say anything. We see Eric Allen Bell being fired from the Daily Kos just by suggesting the truth about what Islamic theology teaches. And I think that this represents what's going on in our higher literary culture and in the media. Where is this going? What may happen here?
Well, fortunately, there are lots and lots and lots of outlets that are out there now. And what's happening is you have, I think this is from the previous segment, but we have The Protester on Time Magazine. But who cares, because who reads Time Magazine any longer?
That's true.
Everybody watches Fox News. And the people who don't watch Fox News are idiots. It's just the way it is. And anybody who watches MSNBC is just an idiot. So there's nothing you can do about them anyway. But fortunately, there are more and more places, and we just have to have the courage to say, up yours. You don't make the law. You don't tell me what I can say. I still have my freedoms. I'm going to speak the truth, and then have the guts to speak the truth.
I come to the point is that the American people will never go for this. And yes, they're fat, they're happy, they've been.
But we've got
60,
guns.
We have guns, but we've got 60 years of prosperity, which has kind of dulled our mind, and we've not suffered through any kind of really bad time. But I believe that the American people have freedom in their heart and their belly, and they'll rise up. Even it might be the destruction of the country, it might be another civil war. I don't know, because you can't have this East and the West against the middle. And eventually, it's going to be no more. They're not going to take it anymore.
But what if so many of them become indoctrinated, because the media is literally indoctrinating the population? I mean, nothing can really be said about Islam. And again, even because of political correctness, I have to emphasize this. We're not speaking about Muslims. But they're not all, there's a lot of good Muslims. But the key is, when I say good Muslims, people that are for peace, people that don't believe in Islamic supremacism, but the key is that they are considered bad Muslims according to the Islamic religion. They're not following the mandates of Islamic
They're
theology.
apostates. They're worse than infidels.
I hate
So
to be the
they're
pessimist,
absolutely.
in between these two hopeful guys. Again, I just worry that whether the media decided to give a truce on whatever it is they do, organized Islam is so embedded in our finances, in our White House, in our feds, and everything that we're doing, that they're infiltrating from within, whether or not they come with guns or crowding mosques. It doesn't matter. They are very deeply embedded in our finances.
Yeah, you know what I
They
find?
will be violent,
And
and they will be violent in this country.
More than
You know what I
violent.
find?
and they will. That's the scary
And there's
part of
nothing
it.
that's beyond the pale.
And
No.
the most disgusting
They'll be
thing
blowing
is
themselves up in
and-
the malls.
well,
But
they-
that's where our victory comes from, because where are they going to find suicide bombers with experience?
That's true. And I never thought about that.
Thank you very much. Thank you for watching this segment of the Glazov Gang. Join us tomorrow evening for the third segment, where we discuss Romney Rising.